Welcome to the Team Building Podcast, where you'll learn how to build a dominant real estate team in your market, featuring masterminds with team leaders and mega agents, plus in-depth interviews with operations managers and marketing directors of some of the top teams in the country. You'll learn the latest methods to generate and convert leads, streamline your operations, recruit and train better agents, and raise your profit. And now, here's the latest Team Building Podcast.
Hey, what's up, listeners? Jeff Cohn here with another episode of the Team Building Podcast, where we interview top team leaders, thought leaders, broker owners from all across the world. Today, I have a really awesome guest. I'm excited to introduce you today to Mr. Justin Nelson. He's with Sphere Rocket VA, currently in Nashville, formerly in Denver, which is a neighbor of mine, even though it's 8 hours west of here. Still a neighbor. I'll call you a neighbor. Justin, welcome to the show today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, man. I definitely consider us neighbors, just a few farm fields in between.
A few cornfields in between. Well, hey, share with our guests really quick. Right out of the gate, they have 20 minutes on their drive to or from work or to work out or whatever they're doing. Why should they stick around the next 20 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just tell you straight up, my specialty is helping agents get leveraged, whether you're a solo agent, running a big team already. With our virtual assistant company, we are all about how to leverage every piece of even your personal life and your business life, because a lot of times it's kind of all in one and kind of wraps in and out depending on where you are in your business.
Yep. Perfect. So I don't know if you already know this about me or not, but I too own a VA company, 1,000 calls a day. We've had a ton of success. We're at about 100 full-time callers. However, we are a niche company. So our niche we have found is in aiding people who are investing in real estate and or traditional real estate teams looking for someone to help them scrub the leads that they have coming in. I'm assuming you do that in addition to a myriad of everything.
Great question. Actually, Jeff, no, we are a niche company as well. That is the only thing that we do not do. I do not allow anybody to get cold callers from us.
Justin, will you marry me?
Absolutely, man. That is the only thing man, you know it just as well as I do. Cold calling is the hardest thing to get done and to have standards on and to keep up with. I went with our niche of leveraging personal admins, team systems. But when it comes to cold calling, if my best friend pulls my arm and says, get me someone, I'll get him someone. But I'll tell you what, I tell him straight up, you have a 10% chance of succeeding with me with a VA cold calling, because that's not our specialty.
Yep. Awesome. So your virtual assistants, I'm assuming, are located overseas. They're virtual. Are they in the Philippines, India? Where are you?
They are. So we're about 90+% of our candidates come from Manila, downtown.
Manila, yeah. Same with ours. That's exactly the thing. Okay. So somebody needs a transaction coordinator. Somebody needs a personal assistant. Somebody hates on another agent in their city and just wants to hire someone to send them spam mail every day and call and text their phone number. Any of those scenarios, they could hire you guys.
Absolutely. For anything, all the above. I kind of make the joke. They order my groceries. They order my laundry. There's some crazy things that they can do that you would never think that they'd be able to do.
So here's the hardest thing for anybody listening. I've leveraged all sorts of stuff in my world. I've used VAs for some of it, internal sales agents for others, direct reports for others. There's certain things VAs are great at, and then there really are certain things that they're not. But what I have found with any leveraged position is holding that individual accountable and showing them exactly how you want it done. And a lot of us high D personalities who are running in a million different directions, which is everyone listening to this today who's multitasking and doing something else and only paying attention to 50% of what I say. It's really hard for us to put in the time necessary, and you'd probably agree with this, Justin, to make sure that they're properly trained within our world so that they can actually be a successful leveraged position. And I'm guessing that's everyone's number one complaint. So how do we take care of that? How do you bridge that gap with those individuals in whom hire your company?
Yeah, no. So one of the big ways that we're different is I'm still in the coaching realm. That's my passion. I spent about 300 days last year on the road just coaching and coaching and coaching. So when someone gets a VA through us, we actually mandate that they go through a whole month of coaching with myself. And the only thing we focus on during that first month is how do we build systems and leverage around 20 tasks. So it's me literally in there with them, building the templates and going, I'm going to hold your hand through this entire thing to make sure you know how that your VA is doing it the exact way that you want it to be done.
So you're building a specific template for every task, for every position, for every client that you're partnering with. And you go to the client first. You take their needs analysis. You say, okay, here are the 20 key functions you want this individual to do for you. We can successfully execute on those. Let's go through the list. And then these are the checks and balances in which we will use to hold that individual accountable to make sure that they're getting the work done that you'd hired us to get done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the benefits is, this year alone, we've helped 107 people. So a lot of that stuff that you may be asking for, someone before you has already created, right?
107.
We've already created for that person.
Justin gives us the exact, it's not 100 plus.
Yeah.
I would say over 100. Over 100 people. 107, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's a lot of people, Justin. I'm sorry you had to be on 107 calls with 107 clients selling the product. Taking the order intake and then training a VA. You are a master at this, and I'm sure sooner than later you'll be leveraging, which is another challenge, right?
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, about 90% of that process is leverage. The only thing that I'm involved in now is just the one-on-one coaching. That allows me to help more people.
And you're coaching the VA. Are you also coaching the client? Because what we've found is in a lot of instances, what the client asks you to teach the VA to do isn't always the best thing. And so it's funny, sometimes you're in the middle going, wait a second, this is great, and we could do it this way, but have you considered doing it that way? We have 106 or 107 other clients that are doing it ABC. Would you want to jump on board and do it that way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one thing we do is we provide a course to the employer and we go, this is how we would do everything that you're wanting to do. Now, obviously your business is different. You might use Boomtown Sync, KW Command, the different tools. So it's going to vary there. But I actually will say 90% of the coaching I do one-on-one is actually with the employer. It's not even with the VA because if the person leading the ship doesn't know how to lead the ship, the VA could be a top-notch VA with 30 years of experience, but they're still not going to know what to do.
Sure. Out of your 107 VAs, which I'm assuming is 107, maybe you have more than that.
Yep.
What categories would you put them in? When people are listening right now going, I don't really want a TC, or I don't want to, you don't do cold calling. So what would be the types of positions that you typically would see for somebody wanting to engage you and hire a virtual assistant for a leveraged position?
Exactly. So a lot of ours there's really 4 different categories. We have personal leverage, a lot of personal tracking, personal finances. We do a lot of transaction coordinators. So you're your typical, I'm a solo agent, I'm a small team, transaction coordinators. We do a lot of what we call sub-admin help. So teams that already have an admin, but don't want to go hire another full-time admin. They just need some leverage. So we do a lot of sub-admin help. And then the last category is social media. That's what I'm most known for, is how to get agents producing in the social media realm. So it's great to be able to bring on someone and to be able to go, they know how to do my social media already.
Cool. Yeah. Are you guys experienced, what type of process management software do you use to execute on those 20 functions? Are you in Trello or what type of?
It's a great question. So Trello we use, but Asana is our big one because most people don't know that Asana can turn into Trello. It's got Trello boards built within it. So Asana is where we teach everything out of. Okay.
But you can function out of anyone's CRM. There's hundreds. I won't go through the list, but you can work anyone's CRM, anyone's Google, anyone's G Suite account, anyone's calendar, Outlook, Gmail, Yahoo, MSN.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
All right. So for anyone listening up to this point, this is an amazing opportunity. No one knows the price yet. So what everybody's obviously sitting here wondering is the cost. I know every time I talk about 1,000 calls a day, everybody's asking me, what's this monthly cost going to be that I'm going to be stuck with for the rest of my life? And we talked beforehand, and you have some pretty awesome pricing opportunities, something I've never heard before. So why don't you share with the audience really quick what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of a one-time upfront fee model. So we have a one-time fee of $5,000. And for that $5,000, we're basically coaching, training, taking you through the entire process. And when you keep that VA for a year, 2, 3 years, you've only paid us one time. So there's no residuals like most VA companies. So we stand out quite a bit in that. However, I know you and I talked about working a deal for those that are kind of tied into your world as well. So.
Yep, we did. So I'm excited about this. So typically $5,000 and there's no residual. I'd never heard this before. So they'll help you get them trained, everything going. You pay a one-time fee. I told Justin our followers needed to have a deal about half off. And so if you go out and let them know you had listened to the podcast and give them the discount code ELITE, ELITE, they will give you, what is the discount on there, Justin?
Yeah, so we're $2,000 off for Elite members right now.
$2,000 off. So it'll be a $3,000 onboarding, and then they'll contract with the VA just one-on-one directly after that, right?
Yep, absolutely. And we walk them through that entire process because it is a unique model. What happens is they're going to get the VA onto their staff and then they're going to subcontract them out to you long term. For us, we're an in-between model. So we help as the recruitment side, get the VA, train the employer, and then we actually launch that VA with you. We help you negotiate contracts with the VA. We're in the middleman of that. And then the VA is yours forever. So if you keep them for 3 years, you don't owe me another dime.
You don't get any residual cut off of their successful employment over a 3-year period.
No.
What? Is that all up front?
It is all up front. However, some people say, hey, Justin, can I do it in 3 payments? Absolutely. We have absolutely no problem with that because we have contracts in place. Jeff, I actually made it after a real estate model. It's a lot like helping a buyer. When you go help a buyer, guess what? Now, the thing I have to be extra good at, which I've learned a lot from you over the years, is my database. I need referrals. For me to grow and grow and grow because I'm not getting that residual, I have to get a ton of referrals to grow it. But that's why we've been able to get 107 and just, even during COVID. And so it's a really, really great model.
Justin, what's the typical expectation? Because we somewhat dodged the question. So we're paying your company to train, probably to help us find a virtual assistant. But you're not going to handle the long term. They're going to actually enter into an agreement. Go ahead, call it a memorandum, you call it a contract, whatever you want to call it, with the virtual assistant, which I've done this for you guys hundreds and hundreds of times. I'm currently using 5 full-time VAs for my real estate operation, both investing and traditional. And that's the same setup that we have. And also sidebar, 1,000 calls a day also does not pay for VAs, sell VAs. We sell them coaching, management, consulting, accountability firm, which takes and plugs in someone else's VA. So 2 questions, I guess. Number 1 is, what kind of a cost would one expect to pay once this person is trained up, right? And then number 2, what if somebody listening already has a VA that's not doing a great job and they just want to hand them over to you guys and say, hey, make this person a little bit better? Yeah,
no, absolutely. So to answer both questions, the typical going rate for a VA is between $400 and $800 a month. And you don't have to make that choice up front. We're going to bring you candidates that kind of range. So it's like, Jeff, if you were to go hire an admin tomorrow for your in-person team, you could hire someone at $30,000 or $80,000. So you're going to get a different level of experience, professionalism, different things like that. But sometimes you want that person off the streets of $30,000. They're going to go out there and, learn it your way, different things like that. So there's pros and cons to both. So if you're paying $400 a month, equivalent to $30,000, $40,000 a year salary, if you're paying $800 a month, probably equivalent to an $80,000, $90,000 a year salary. So we don't really have a set price. When we go in there, we'll kind of do a needs analysis and go, oh, Jeff, you have no problem spending $900 a month for your VA. Well, we'll be able to find you a badass VA for $900 a month, and you don't have to worry about the upcharge that some companies put on there. Because some companies, know this, Jeff, they're all different. Some will charge you $2,000 a month, and they'll go get a VA for $400 a month, and they don't tell you.
Yep,
they don't tell you how much they're.
Yeah.
So
anyone can go to Upwork. If anyone wants to hire a VA and cut out 1,000 calls and cut out Justin, go to Elance. You'll find people that will claim $3 an hour. I'll tell you right now, they're engaged with 7 clients, everyone at $3 an hour, and they're making a call client A, then they make a call to client B, then they call to client C. So if any client checks in on them, they're working. They'll answer their phone, but they're working like 20 people at the same time. So make sure you got the right person on hand. And the other thing I would say to anyone listening is, whatever task you're going to leverage, make sure you know that task better than anyone, so that you know how much workload you're giving them, that it is a 40-hour job. Otherwise, if it's only a 15-hour job, most people I've worked with in my life don't come to me and say, Jeff, I only worked 15 hours so far this week. Can you give me another 25 hours? Most are just going to say, hey, I just did 40 hours of work in 15 hours because I'm amazing. I'm a genius. So I'm just not going to work anymore. And that's exactly I would say that is most of the VA mentality as well. So be sure there's more on their plate. I also would recommend, in addition to whatever the salary is that you end up negotiating, and I think a fair rate in Manila, if they're making $8 an hour, that's like making a 6-figure income in the US. That's like, you just killed it. It's double what the average person would earn.
You're keeping them long-term.
You're keeping them long-term, right? I've got mine up to $12 an hour. Mine get paid really well. They're super happy. On top of whatever you decide to pay, I like to include carrots. And those carrots should have caps. But the carrot is something like, let's say that your team averages 300 deals a year, but your goal is to hit 500. You say to them, hey, if we do really well this year and we get to 400, then half to our goal, I'll give you an extra $1,000 bonus at Christmas. If we get to 500, which is what our goal is, I'll give you $5,000 at Christmas. Like, make them a part of the team by getting incentivized. It shouldn't be per transaction because that's their job, but figure out a way to incentivize, and everyone wants to be incentivized, right?
Absolutely. And as I tell people all the time in our training, yeah, you could raise their salary to 15 or 10 or whatever you're going to raise them to, but then it becomes an expectation of theirs. That's like the new baseline. And so I call it sporadic bonusing, same thing, but it's usually based on a metric.
Yep. I love it. So how does somebody get in touch with you, Justin, if they want to reach out with questions, set up a demo call, see if they're the right fit for you?
Absolutely, man. So it's really easy. You just go to sphererocketva.com, which is www.sphererocketva.com.
Awesome. And if you don't know how to spell that, you probably are not ready to leverage sphererocketva.com. Cool.
Sphere Rocket, like the world.
This was cool, man. You are the first person I've heard of doing something like that. Most people are always on the residual play. You're on the upfront play. Guys, he'll pony up. He'll put all the time in. He'll train. He'll do it all. He'll give you the VA. You'll contract with the VA at the rate that you think is fair. Like we talked about, keep them between $8, $10 an hour. Don't go in thinking, I'm going to get someone for $3 an hour. You'll get what you pay for. They will not give you great work at $3 an hour. I can tell you that based on experience, sadly.
Yep.
So in closing, I would love to invite anyone that's made it this far. Definitely reach out, give Justin a shout out, give us a review on iTunes. You can go into your iTunes app under podcasts, search the Team Building Podcast. We're trying to get to over 1,000 reviews. Would love you to give us a 5-star and just give a shout out to Justin for anything that you took away from this podcast or any previous podcast. Also, would like to remind everyone, we are giving away my listing presentation and buyer presentation that over 100 of our agents are using on a daily basis. Go to growwithers.com to download your free listing presentation or buyer presentation today. It's tech powered. It talks about virtual reality. It addresses the pandemic. It addresses everything that you need to be addressing in your listing presentation. And lastly, we do have an event that has not been canceled yet in September in Omaha. We have canceled 3 events so far. This is a team building workshop on day 1, an investment workshop on day 2. If you want more information about the event, we are not going to be canceling it. It does not look like. Nebraska looks like it's staying strong. Our cases are not on the rise. So we are planning on September. I think it's towards the end of September. Go out to eliterealestatesystems.com. Click on events. Come to Omaha. Spend 3 days with us. I promise. If the money ends up being something where you say you didn't earn back what we taught you and you did apply the things we taught, I will personally hand you a check for the total cost of what it's going to be for hotel, lodging, everything. I will guarantee you will make the money back. Literally, go listen to one podcast. If you apply the things, you typically can make $100,000 a year off of every idea that we talk about on these shows. Just like this wonderful idea today from Justin with Sphere Rocket. Leveraged positions are key. Obviously, knowing the right types of positions to leverage. And I think I agree with everything you said, Justin. I'm right on. That we're on the same page in terms of what can be leveraged and what probably shouldn't be leveraged.
Absolutely, man. And you hit it on the head. You got to know how to do the tasks before you give it off. That's the biggest mistake I see in this world is
no one knows how to do it.
They expect their VAs to go figure it out. I see it all the time. Well, why don't you know sync yet? Well, sir, you don't even know sync or ma'am.
Right. I hear it with prospecting calls all the time. Oh, I'm going to hire a VA to make prospecting calls. Well, do you make calls? No. Well, what are you going to do when they tee up an amazing lead who just gave you a rebuttal about anything, overcome the objection? You've never made a call before. And that person that they just signed a line to call up with is going to have objections. Everybody has objections, but you don't know how to do it. So 100%, I think we're aligned there as well. So best place to get a hold of you is on your website, www.sphererocketva.com. Go out, leave us a review. Of course, we have hundreds of podcast episodes like this one. Be sure if this is your first to go back and check out some of our previous recordings. Justin, you were an awesome guest today. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.